We are 146 days away from the opening ceremony of the Olympics in Japan, and that is certainly on the minds of America's finest gymnasts as they gather for the first significant competition in almost a year. Tonight in Indianapolis, it's the first step along the revised road to Tokyo. NBC Sports welcomes you to the 2021 USA Gymnastics Winter Cup, presented by the Olympic Channel, home of Team USA. Inside the Indiana Convention Center here in downtown Indianapolis, the men competing tonight for the first time in a long time. Glad to have you with us, Terry Gannon, along with Olympic champs Tim Daggett, Nastia Liukin. Long time since we've been together too. Think about it, guys. Early March of 2020, the last premier event for these gymnasts, and now they come here. It's a great unknown, I think, to start this.
Well, I think it's so unknown, especially with it now all of a sudden being another Olympic year.
Yeah.
You know, last year they thought it was going to be their year, their time to try to make that Olympic team, and here we are again. And you know, so many of them had to take time off from training, so it is very unknown.
You know, I had the opportunity to talk to just about all of these young men before the competition, and I asked them, are you better off now than you would have been last year? And a lot of them had mixed feelings on that, but from watching them in training and in warming up here today, I would have to say that year looks pretty good on them.
Everybody's had to adjust, and certainly you take sports, and it's nothing compared to what so many people are dealing with over the past several months. But what do you think they'll be going through tonight? What's the biggest challenge when you have trained? Even that's been interrupted, but you haven't competed.
Yeah, you know, I think it's really just getting back out there. It's that mental aspect of competing. And, you know, I think physically so many, as you mentioned, they had to take time off and not train, but it really is the mental game, the mental preparation, being back out under the bright lights, on the podium, Olympic year again. So yeah, I think it's just gonna be getting out there.
And there's not that much time, really. You think about if you're on the cusp, maybe you had a chance to make the team, maybe not, who knows? You got to make that move starting right now.
Absolutely, and there are some athletes that are going to be out there that this year is their lifeline. They would absolutely not have been in the conversation at all. Now they are.
That's interesting. Everybody's got a different agenda and coming from different places, and some expected last year, 2020, to be the year when they perhaps go to the Olympics and then move on. Others, they were thinking about 2024, and all of a sudden you're in the conversation for 2021 now and going to Tokyo.
Absolutely.
So a lot of different perspectives here. Yul Moldauer is certainly one of those. You've got a number of athletes who expect to be in that conversation, and maybe in this case expect to be a part of that team. It's not a given for anyone, but you're preparing because you know you should be in Tokyo, and then that adds pressure in itself.
Without a doubt, and Yul is absolutely one of those individuals that is not just in the conversation, but he has been one of the leaders of the U.S. team for the last bunch of years. But he's got a lot of changes that have happened in his life. He was a member of the Oklahoma Sooners. When the lockdown came, they were not able to train at their gym. He bounced around to some local gyms for a little while and then decided to make his way back home to Colorado, his club gym, 5280 Gymnastics. And I'll tell you what, he looks revived to me, doing a ton of new stuff.
And you know, Tim, he actually told us too, he said he's totally changed his life, the whole gymnastic aspect to it. He said, my whole life now is gymnastics. I go to bed at 9 now. I don't eat anything bad. I changed my diet. I drink a lot of water. So, you know, he really is all in.
And I'm not sure he was anywhere near in that space a year ago at this time. So rededicated himself 3 times to the World Championships and the U.S. all-around champ back in 2017. But we start on vault. The 25-year-old from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Marvin Kimble, who won the all-around silver medal back in 2018 at the Winter Cup and was the vault champ.
And I'll tell you what, if there's one piece of gymnastics that can blow your mind, it is this right here. He's going to do a Sukadhara double back somersault in a piked position, uber difficult. He did one the other day in podium training, and I said, looks good, best one I've ever seen you do. He says, that's the first one I've ever done outside of a meet onto the hard ground in my life.
Wow.
This is wild. Oh, boy. And that is a shame. He had enough on it, but he opened his body a little bit too early. The one he did yesterday was just spectacular.
And has been to the World Championships. That was back in 2017, and then an alternate for the 2018 World Team.
And you know, Terry, you asked what are they getting out of this competition, and perhaps it's trying out new skills like this early on in the season at a Winter Cup competition.
But that is 3 times around. 3 flips from the board to his feet. A lot of pulling. Didn't get as much height, I would say, on this as he did the other day.
Didn't quite get there, but it was pretty spectacular just to watch him come close. So the scoring, and we'll give you a little help with the green, 1.6 deduction or less. In yellow, 1.7 to 2.3, and then you don't want to be in red. As we show you the numbers throughout the evening.
And this is not going to be a great score for him. He loses more than a full point for putting his hands down. I've been very impressed with Marvin. He's kind of been a little bit off the radar for a while, but watching him train here, he's looked really good and very focused.
So the numbers, you see the deductions right there, and 13.6 in that yellow area for Marvin Kimble, the 25-year-old from Milwaukee. So over to Cameron Bock, the 22-year-old, Tustin, California, but a star at the University of Michigan as well, on vault.
He actually came from the same club as Sam Mikulak, who is not here, the reigning all-around champ for the U.S., the U.S.'s best gymnast. He followed Sam's lead, went to the University of Michigan. Pretty good. Actually really worked that well in the air. It's a very challenging vault. So this is a Kasamatsu-style vault named after a great Japanese gymnast with 2.5 twists, laid out somersault.
So we'll talk about it all the time, but this is what we kind of call a blind landing. So his back, he lands with his back towards the vault, but look at he almost spots right over his left shoulder.
And you're seeing,
and that is a technique that not everybody does, but
yes,
clearly the right one.
Yes, it is. And you know, it kind of came about, I would say, mostly from the combination tumbling done on floor that you had to figure out a way.
So we wait for his number as Yul Moldauer gets set to go on vault here in just a moment. One of the stars for the U.S. 14.35, the total for Cameron Bock. So the 2-time U.S. all-around silver medalist, Yul Moldauer, getting ready 3 times to the World Championships, won the bronze on floor back in 2017 at Worlds, finished 7th all-around.
He'll do the same vault that we just saw Cameron Bock do. Whoa.
Really, really great vault. The landing was just a little scary for, I think, both of our likings, but
yeah.
Just got to bend the knees a little bit more.
Yeah, that is, as a coach, as a gymnast, you know that you never want to land and lock your legs. Pretty clean. You see that locked legs. Yikes, that could have been scary, but he seems fine. Yul does have an uncanny ability to stick this vault, and that's exactly what he was going for.
Another thing to delay in terms of the Olympics is done is give some gymnasts a chance. Everybody deals with nagging injuries, but he really had an elbow injury that just went on and on. Gave him a chance to rehab that and get healthy as well. Can we trust you? We know you're smiling.
I feel like we've all been saying that all week. We're smiling under here.
Can't tell, but we know. So 14.3, the number there, guys. As that alternate from Rio, Donnell Whittenburg gets set now. 26-year-old from Baltimore. And a world bronze medalist back in 2015 on vault.
He has tremendous potential on this event. He is not doing the same caliber vaults that he did when he won that bronze medal, but is aiming to get them back in the program. Deals with that quite well. Same vault we saw 3 times in a row.
Play to the camera as well.
So a powerful guy, obviously. And legs, arms, he can just jettison his body straight off that vaulting table.
Mentioned disappointing to just miss really making the team in 2016. He was an alternate, but I mentioned it, 2015, and that bronze medal back at the World Championships.
And that was spectacular. Handspring double front with a half twist, and then even more difficult, a full twisting double back. It's just, there are only a handful of people in the world that even consider running down the runway and doing those 2 vaults. He's not back to that level, but is training both of them again.
On the kind of the same range, 14.1, the number there for Donnell. As Shane Wiskus, 2-time NCAA all-around runner-up, gets ready. A star at the University of Minnesota, U.S. vault champ in 2019. And also a bronze medalist on parallel bars. He gets set on floor here to open up.
Very nice and clean gymnast. Double twisting double somersault, wow. Great landing. He told me it is so very hard to accept. The year that you've been waiting for your whole life has been postponed. He competed in his first World Championships in 2019 for Team USA, and for a young competitor was really a rock. He'll do a triple twist to finish this off here. Oh, just a little bit short on that landing. Takes a step, but a very strong start for Shane, excuse me.
We talked about it, guys. He's got that whiteboard in his bedroom. He had to revise that. Days until Tokyo, right after the announcement. Okay, let's add 365 more days.
Called it very awkward, adding those days.
Still, quote unquote, days until my dream comes true.
Right.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Paul Judah, this is a name to watch. 19 years of age from Deerfield, Illinois, and hoping maybe to play spoiler, make the U.S. Olympic team this summer. Sophomore at the University of Michigan.
And he'll do that same vault we've seen a bunch of times, but he can be cleaner than everybody that has gone before him. From the board to the table, very difficult to do this with your legs together. He sometimes can pull it off.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely beautiful technique, as you said, Tim, in the air, just picture perfect, but wasn't quite able to control the landing.
That's unusual for him. Very, very unusual. He he did have tremendous form from the board to the table, but a lot of jumping around there.
So again, similar number, this time on floor, even 14 for Shane Wiskus. Eddie Penev, the veteran and the 2017 U.S. champ on vault and floor. He's 30 years of age, born in Sofia, Bulgaria, out training in Colorado Springs now.
And really just forever has been known as a superstar on both floor and vaulting. Is capable of doing so many different types of passes. You never know what he's going to do. Really good fight. He was not in a good position for the takeoff of that second bounding skill. Oh, a lot of hopping, and this is, and you see the red flag goes up. That means he stepped onto the white carpet. He's out of bounds. He'll get another 10th deduction. Always been so great, but landings, he's just a little too quick in making an adjustment. He'll also do that triple twist to finish this routine off. Nicely done, but pretty much a little hop and a skip after just about every tumbling run.
Said he took positives and negatives from the year delay in the Olympics. And yeah, it gave me time to rest my body, but I'm 30, I'm getting old, getting up there. It's part of the challenge as well to keep it at this level. Paul Judah, 13.65, disappointing number on vault as we are underway here, the Winter Cup in Indianapolis. Back here at the Winter Cup, you see the number for Eddie Penev, 14.05.
Yeah, it's a good score for floor, but really not a good score for Eddie on floor.
And in taking a look at the deductions, that's exactly what you were talking about, Tim, all of those landings.
So the men tonight, tomorrow the women get their chance to compete here at the Winter Cup. Looking forward to that. Comes your way at 12:30 Eastern time on NBC. And certainly one of the highlights will be the return of Laurie Hernandez, one of the stars from Rio, that silver medal on beam, part of the team gold. She'll be back competing for the first time in over 4 years, Nastia.
Yeah, just so excited to see her back out there on the competition floor and getting a chance to talk to her last week. Just the passion and love for the sport of gymnastics was just so refreshing to hear that bubbly energy once again that we saw in Rio.
Back here, determined to make that team, 12:30 Eastern time. That's tomorrow on NBC. First rotation in the books. They move on here for the men in Indianapolis. Back in a moment. So after one rotation, those are the standings. The top three started on vault. Cameron Bock with the lead, but Yul Moldauer as they move over to parallel bars. Now, a little bit of rust you've seen to this point?
Maybe a little bit, yes, absolutely.
Daunting task coming back to competition for the first time in almost a year as they try to make that push towards the Tokyo Olympics. And we continue in a moment. Back with a second rotation about to get underway. Here's the 25-year-old from Chandler, Arizona, star at the University of Oklahoma, Allan Bower. So We ask everybody, so how'd you spend your time training during the pandemic and away from the gym? Well, everybody's got to get creative. Check this out, guys. You got one of those at home, Jim?
Yeah, I would have if I had to do the same thing these guys had endured. And, you know, some of the athletes have had so much time where they were forced to stay completely out of the gym. They got real creative.
Garage, backyards, do whatever you can.
Well, absolutely, and who would have ever thought, first of all, this would have happened, and then of course going into an Olympic year, as you mentioned, Terry, it's when you're supposed to be pretty much at your best, and now you're not even able to get into the gym to train. So you do what you can do.
Now the Sooner ready to go. The 20-year-old, Vitaly Guimaraes, here on vault before we see Bower.
Should be beautiful.
Oh, wow.
It was beautiful, but he was supposed to, I believe, do another half turn at the end of that. He
seemed okay with that, though.
Yeah, yes, it was beautiful. Just gorgeous execution, but typically does a 2.5 twist.
Born in Dallas, from Colorado. All right, Cameron Bock, the man who leads going into this second rotation over on parallel bars.
Has had a long history in gymnastics, has won a couple of times the junior nationals, the all-around. I don't know what we have.
Board seemed to be right in front of the judges there.
Yeah.
Man who won the floor exercise bronze last year in this Winter Cup. And here we go, ready now.
But if it goes well, I would say this is his best event. Has always just had a knack. Does a very long routine that's exhausting. Release element there, nicely done. Looking very good. And he started doing this so late in his routine, very difficult from one end to the other. That's called a Bafsar, named after the great U.S. gymnast Raj Bafsar. Just the hop on the landing, but that was fabulous.
Pretty good start to this event after the vault and leading after one rotation. The effort on bars for Cameron Bock. As we check out the number for Vitaly Guimaraes, 14.3. Half-point deduction.
But his vault started 0.4 of a point lower than most of the gymnasts we saw in that first round.
So here is the 2018 U.S. all-around bronze medalist, Allan Bower. Certainly one of those names in the discussion for the Olympics.
Yes, absolutely. He has been so close to making world teams. It might make it easier for him to make it with a 4-person team. Very nicely done. That is what Allan Bower will do to you all day long. Just chip away. He doesn't have the one event that he just crushes it out of the ballpark, but he is rock solid and very, very dependable.
And that's what you need with the 4-person team. That's the point you're making.
Exactly.
Let's go, Isaiah.
And having that consistency and knowing that you can go up and hit, especially in an Olympic Games in a team final situation, you cannot count a single mistake. If you have any kind of hopes to try to make it to that podium.
Just always finds a way, just a small little hop on the landing.
Good night, dog, let's go. Come
Look
on.
at him at the number there you see on Bock.
Go fight, man.
As he waits, see what the judges think of that effort. There you go, 14.15. Parallel bars.
I do not understand that. 1.75 in deductions. I do not get that. That is, and I could see by what little of his face I can see, he was not.
Perplexed as well?
Yeah, he was not happy with that.
So Yul Moldauer getting set for bars as well.
This is a brand new routine for Yul. His biggest upgrades come on this event. Right here. Nicely done. See if he does this. This is a new skill. Nope, I don't think he's gonna do it. Very nice peach with a half. Oh no, here he does. He does it. Great, that's called a Makutz. Super difficult. Thought he did that a little bit earlier in the exercise. Once again, a long routine. Double front with a half turn. Spot the ground.
Oh, just almost had that.
That is some gymnastics right there. That is a very hard routine.
You know, we watch some of these athletes, and you mentioned too, some might feel a little rusty, you know, getting back out there on the competition floor, but not for him. You know, when we talked to him last week too, he said he feels more confident now just because of the way that he has changed his training mentality. He knows he can go out there at any time and hit a routine.
Brand new skill, like I said, very tricky, and he deals with it well. When I saw he was doing that skill so late in his routine, I wouldn't have imagined that would be the strategy, but it certainly worked out today. He's supposed to keep moving. He'll get probably 1/10 of a point off on that, but. Big swing into this double front with a half, and he typically sticks this all day long. It's kind of like he just, I don't know, his foot got a little funky.
Technical term.
Yes.
Fighting it to stay there.
Yeah.
24-year-old who was born in Seoul, grew up in Colorado, star for the University of Oklahoma. Much more disciplined approach, not only to his training, but his lifestyle at this point.
Yeah, really everything, as I mentioned, just overall eating healthier, going to bed early, more water. But you know, something interesting that I found when he told us was he actually asked the women's coaches what they do in training, and the coaches said numbers, 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 and repetition.
Yep.
And that's what he finally realized, okay, maybe I do need to change up my training.
Oh, wow, this parallel bar panel, the judges, they're brutal. That was a pretty nice routine to get over 2 points in deductions.
So Donnell Whittenburg going to take his turn on parallel bars, having seen the numbers for the last couple be quite harsh.
I never thought you could look powerful on P-bars until I saw, oh boy.
Ouch.
And that hurts. Very easy to dislocate a finger on that element. It's so easy for that. You kind of just fumble your hand a little bit. And he's repeating it. No problem this time. Watch the power here, like I said. Big release. Also the double front with a half, small hop. But that is, yeah, I hope that finger's okay. Just so easy to pop a joint out. Just misses the bar completely with his hand. And that does not feel good.
Hopefully won't have a lasting effect. Donnell Whittenburg, impossible for that man not to look powerful, no matter the apparatus or the event. Donnell Whittenburg still dealing with that injured finger a moment ago on parallel bars, and you see the disappointing number, 11.85. I'm gonna go try to take care of that.
And the problem with that is he goes from parallel bars, where you obviously need to have a good grip strength. The next event is high bar, which is, you know, really tricky when your fingers can't squeeze around the bar.
So Paul Judah, the 19-year-old, who spent much of his time during the pandemic back at home, suburban Chicago, training, needs a comeback of sorts after a bit of a struggle opening on vault. 8th place after that opening rotation.
Yeah, it was a beautiful vault, but he just bounded out of it. Took a whole bunch of steps.
By the way, there was an event in Tokyo, Friendship and Solidarity competition, small event in terms of the number of athletes there, but 3 of the athletes who are here tonight did compete, including Paul Judah, along with Shane Wiskus and Yul Moldauer. You get a chance at least to get a taste of competition over the last year.
And meet 2 of his idols, world champion Nikita Nagorny and Uchimura Kohei. Many consider him the greatest of all time.
Which we should say is the protocol now for athletes from Japan, the last name first, this point moving forward.
Which, by the way, he did say was the coolest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Just meeting him.
Beautiful start. Has a great line. Really nice release from one end to the other. Go back to the middle once again. Oh boy, and he got way forward on that. Healy, same skill Donnell Whittenburg had a problem with. Double front, little bit of a shuffle on the landing, but he knows he escaped that. It's called a Healy, that full spin on one arm.
That was good for the bar beginning, you know? Yeah, that was great. Yeah. 5/10 on the... Oh, no, it's all good. You want to toss on? Yeah.
To maintain balance on that full spin, as your hands are reaching for the bar, you have to be leaning back. But watch this, he just flies here. Nicely done, right to that handstand. And here, he pulls his shoulders forward as his right hand is going down, but like I said, he escapes with probably just 1/10 of a point off.
So he waits for the number. We mentioned that experience in Tokyo competing, and there is Kohei. Yeah, in fact, after he got off the pommel horse, his routine, Kohei came up and said, "You are the flare master." And he said that it blew me away.
He said, I couldn't believe it. I've seen every YouTube video ever of him. I used to show all my friends who didn't even like gymnastics how amazing he was.
He also said, I don't think he had any idea how big of a deal it was for him to be there and for him to say that. He's idolized him.
As Marvin Kimble gets ready, parallel bars, 12th place after the opening rotation. We're going to see Kohei in the Olympics?
I think that we will. I believe he will not be on their team, but he will be one of their additional spots. It's about as complicated as you can get. But
I look at Nastia, she's shaking her head. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me involved in this.
Well, it is just so bizarre to me to represent a country and not be part of the team, right, at the Olympics. So rules have changed, obviously.
that was beautiful. And this is super difficult. I was supposed to not do that, though. Gonna try it again. Now he'll do that full spin that we've seen people have problems with much harder off of one bar like that. And, you know, it's risk and reward. The athletes are trying to get the highest maximum start value, but when you do the really tough stuff, sometimes you end up a little lower than usual. And that's disappointing for Marvin. He can be much better than that. Started rough on vault, an event that he can shine on. And this is another subpar routine for him. So very tricky to transition from both bars to a one-armed hand or one-bar handstand. He was supposed to go right away into that Healy down. He does it again, and you know he's just a little bit off balance. Has to wait a little long and comes down to the bars.
So here in the second rotation, Kimble, a bit of a struggle to start. A vault and then parallel bars. Yul Moldauer has made a move to the top of the standings as we continue here at the Winter Cup from Indianapolis. Back to remind you, get ready. Something is about to make contact. The world will be watching television's next big event. Debris arrives Monday on NBC. Action continues here in downtown Indianapolis. Marvin Kimble, parallel bars number, disappointing 11.85. So vault to parallel bars, disappointing start for Kimble here at the Winter Cup. After that second rotation, it's Yul Moldauer with the lead, 28.6 the number. Cameron Bock in second, and Allan Bower rounding out the top three. Top names continue to compete here at the Winter Cup as we continue from downtown Indy in a moment. Back with a look at the 20-year-old from just outside of Sacramento who is a sophomore at Stanford. Riley Loos in ninth place after the second rotation. With the delay, he believes he's got a chance to make the Olympics. We talked about getting creative. How about this in your backyard?
Yeah, that's a competition-ready pommel horse right there.
Yeah, he didn't build that from scratch. I mean, that is a real pommel.
Who bought him that?
Exactly.
He said during the pandemic he got healthier. He dropped about 10 pounds, but this is the kicker. He added 3 points in difficulty, which is a mammoth undertaking, as is the vault he's about to show us. Most difficult one we'll see in the competition today. It's a handspring. He'll go forward over the horse, laid out somersault with 2.5 twists. Really, really tough stuff here.
Yeah!
And wow, he makes it look easy. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of gymnasts in the world that try to do this vault, and it doesn't look easy when they do it.
You thought that looked easy?
Yeah, no, but he makes it easy. Plenty of time. That is, look at him, he's spinning like a top, 2.5 twists around. Stays in the middle, in between those two wide lines. That is a big vault and should get a big score.
Said he kind of struggled with his body his freshman year at Stanford, so this time it's given him even more of a chance to get over those injuries. Yul Moldauer waiting to be on high bar next. In first after 2 rotations. Not a surprise there.
And really, Yul just needs to survive this event. It's an event in transition for him. He has struggled with it in the past a little bit, but he's got a new plan. He's not implementing it yet, but he thinks he has the makings of a routine that'll keep him competitive and have a shot to be challenging for the all-around at the Olympic Games. Should go right to a handstand. Not bad. This is a reverse heck. Has not done that in a long time. Used to do this Kovacs type element, but has given him some jitters over the year. But once again, look at the handstand position. Does he get there?
Oh.
And he does, but he comes the wrong way, and that is a very large deduction. I don't know, he's supposed to do a triple twisting. No, only a full twisting double layout. He either does a full or a triple twist, and he is not going to be happy with that.
You know, so often we talk about those handstands, both in men's gymnastics and women's, and sometimes when you try so hard to just hit it right on top of the bar, you come a little bit too short. The same with sticking a dismount.
Oh, he was going vertical, there's no question, but he was supposed to continue over the bar. He falls backwards. It's just a lot of deductions right there.
How helpless is that feeling?
Oh, it's, yeah, your breath goes out. It literally feels like your heart stops. But
And then you want to just hurry up and go do one more routine to be like, no, I can actually do it.
So he waits for the number. And 14.75, Riley Loos. There it is.
And you see the maximum score right there, a 15.6. That is just a huge number.
Yeah, I'm not too good at this.
Hence the wide smile.
Yes, underneath the mask.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 4.5 tenths better than the next best competitor today.
All right, over to floor, and Mike Fletcher, the 21-year-old from New Hampshire, but a star at the University of Illinois. See where he is after 2 rotations.
And I had the pleasure of watching this young man grow up in the sport of gymnastics. Very talented, has a lot of power, and is super quick, which helps him out a lot. Really nicely done. Opening run. Oh boy, really going for that stick, kicked out a little bit early. And so he took 2 steps, and those were big steps. Those were 3/10 steps, so that one landing costs him more than a half a point. He actually finished his high school career with a good friend of mine, one of my gymnasts, Calbert Booker. Just got to put this to his feet. Oh, wow. That was close. I didn't think he was going to get that around, that Arabian double front. Looked a little winded.
Tough to do that at the end of your routine when you are winded, especially that blind landing, not being able to spot the floor, going for that stick.
Kinesiology major in Champaign, University of Illinois. Moldauer, the number, 11.8.
3.5 points in deductions, and that is this routine that he has, this interim routine, is actually, it's not a great routine for him because he's got two elements that have very large built-in deductions, and he's trying to get him out of his routine.
Remember, he was in the lead after 2 rotations, so he's going to drop out of the lead. Matt Wenske now in 7th after a couple of rotations. So I'm on vault, now on parallel bars.
Very nice young man. Has had a whole bunch of injuries, though. He had an injury that I'd never heard of in the sport. He tore his lat completely off the bone.
Okay, you don't have to describe it. I got it the first time.
And they really didn't know what to do with him. And you know, it took some planning and a testament coming back. It was a very long road for him. Nice release skill. Has a nice look about him, very patient, poised on the apparatus. Double pike. Oh, and just the smallest little hop. That's a nice routine for Matt. Very well done for him.
Dealt with a knee injury the last couple of years as well. You guys know, any sport, so much of the hurdle coming back is mental, too.
Oh, absolutely, especially in a year like this when you haven't been out there on the competition floor. Add on an injury, add on uncertainty, the unknown, having to change training environments.
How about that total? 13.15 on floor for Mike Fletcher.
Yeah, they have really not been generous, the judging here today. Very, very, 2.15 in deductions. You know, he did have that one little bit of a hiccup, but.
Seems a little harsh, though.
A little bit, yes.
You say that as if you expected them to be, since this is the first competition coming back.
Yeah, you know, and you know who else is a little rusty, maybe?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And I'm joking, but, you know, I mean, these judges haven't been on the floor basically judging at a high level like this for a year as well.
I'll let you know.
I thought you were talking about us, Tim.
Let you in a secret out there. He's not joking. So I'll whisper it, but he's not. Paul Judah, the high bar bronze medalist, 2019. You saw that graphic a moment ago. So the 19-year-old getting set. Sophomore at Michigan, studying psychology.
But one of his best qualities is he is like a cat and can just stick landings, and thus far today he has not been able to do that. Has a major release planned. Here it comes right here, gaining some speed. Very nice. Some reverse hex, beautiful position in the air. An extra giant there. I don't know if he just thought he maybe had too much speed and took his time. Now this is cool, watch this right here. Very different. Russian giants. Oh no!
Oh, watch out.
And I am just so surprised. I think he's probably a little frustrated with himself, mostly after vault. And he was going 100% for that handstand. Maybe you never want to say it because you want your athlete to be aggressive, but maybe that was just maybe a little too ambitious on it.
Come on, baby.
The same move we saw Yul Moldauer struggle on. Let's see if he can stick one. And once again, No stick.
Nastia, if you were coming back to compete after this much time off, away from competition, would you play it a little cautious tonight?
That's an interesting question. You know, I think coming into a competition like this, especially it being Olympic year, you want to go out here and try to do your quote unquote, I guess, Olympic routines as many times as you possibly can to be able to get those nerves out, get more of the experience, the podium feel. You know, the events being raised up on a podium, everything feels a little bit different.
Well, I said I wanted to.
So of course, if you're not quite ready to perform those routines, you obviously wouldn't want to do them. But
and they were talking about that.
Okay. Last 3. And my contact fell out. Again. Yeah, I have extra. Okay. You want to please? No.
Even more problems.
Here's that very cool swing, but then the same problem as Yul Moldauer. But this is like jamming right up to that handstand, and it's so aggressive. And I'll tell you what.
Oof, that hurts.
Yeah, that is solid steel. And you come down on the bar, and that doesn't feel good, but what feels worse is coming off the bar.
It's almost that look of shock, and you heard him say he lost his contact during that as well. 12.85 the number.
I got it.
Not exactly how you want to put your contacts in with a bunch of chalk on your hands.
I was just thinking that.
True.
So I need to get my shorts.
Wenske on parallel bars, 13.3.
Nice.
He's become a fan now.
There
are some Sooners in this event, as there always are.
Yeah, a whole bunch of them.
All right, Marvin Kimble needs a good effort here on the high bar.
And he can deliver, but he's got to get past a whole bunch of really hard releases. The first one bears the name of the woman seated right next to me. This is a Lukin, named after her dad. Really hard to connect those two elements. And there's one of those handstand type elements, and Marvin definitely played it a little bit cautious and on that one as well, but that's okay. Exhausting at this point.
Adrian De Los Angeles.
It could be cleaner, but this is definitely a big hit routine for Marvin Kimble. There you go, and a stick.
Come on, man, let's go!
Needed a routine like that and got it. You do hear individual yells and
Yeah,
without the
It's pretty
fans.
quiet in here without the fans.
Limited number of family members allowed.
As Tim mentioned, the skill, of course, the Lukin named after my dad. It's a laid out Tkachev with a full twist. I always wanted to do a skill that was named after him. Unfortunately, it was that one, and the other one is a triple back on floor. No chance for either of them.
Here you go, Gymnastics 101, fly high and stick the landing, just
There
like
it is.
Marvin.
Been waiting for that.
Took a while
Yeah.
to get one of those.
We haven't had many sticks. It's been...
That's what I'm saying. I'm not blaming you.
Yeah.
Catch his breath, wait for his number. Should be pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, that's about
Let's go, Cam.
where I thought it was going to come in with the way they've been judging. He has a lot of small errors that just keep adding up. He can be better, cleaner, certainly.
Okay, so we got our first. You agreed with the judges the first time tonight. Cameron Bock had a great start to this event. Now up on high bar.
Here is his handstand element. A little bit shy of the handstand, but that's okay. Double back over the bar. Pretty good. Nice. Once again, the Russian Giants. I'll tell you what, Cameron Bock getting the job done here today. Big dismount, double twisting double. Just about a stick, maybe a little slide with one leg, but he is having a great day.
Yeah, he's met the moment so far, maybe even exceeding expectations. The 22-year-old University of Michigan star quickly on with a mask and midway through this event here in downtown Indianapolis. First premier event in almost 12 months. Continues in a moment. Back to remind you, beginning July 2021, the Olympic Games return live from Tokyo on NBC. Athletes here looking forward to making that trip, making the team. We're looking forward to that trip as well. And this, in some ways, the first step along the journey. First competition in some time with an eye toward making the team. Can't get any tighter at the top after 3 rotations. Riley Loos, Cameron Bock have been very good. They share the lead. Allan Bower right there in third. Wenske and Wiskus, your top 5 here at the 2021 Winter Cup from Indianapolis. Start of the 4th rotation here at the Winter Cup. Eddie Penev, the 2017 U.S. champ on vault and floor. You know, guys, he's an avid climber and spent much of the time during the pandemic, the break, doing just that, climbing as many 14ers as they're called, mountains that are 14,000 feet and higher.
Every time you look at him on Instagram, it's Eddie on some mountain.
That's not the normal climb,
that
though.
looks a little scary
that
to me.
pose. Yeah. Ready on vault.
Supernatural athlete on this event. Very capable. Oh, pretty darn good. And he actually didn't have a great connection with the table. His hand kind of fumbled a little bit, but that vault is so easy for Eddie. He's been doing it for so many years. I give him a hard time, say, you need to do another half twist on that.
Guys, how about Riley Loos sharing first place with Cameron Bock after 3 rotations here?
Yeah, and they just, you know, some guys don't like to know where they are at all, but the PA announcer moments ago just said halfway through, this young man, along with Cameron Bock, are in first place. Pretty cool.
Donnell Whittenburg, on floor. And the next one,
There's that full spin or a Healy twirl. Little bit of form on that element. He's had a spectacular day, highlighted by his vault. But parallel bars, the judging has been so critical, but he's checking all the boxes.
And you know what? Some people might not like to know where they are if they're in first place, but maybe that just gave him the extra boost of confidence that he needed.
He might be one that does like to hear that, and maybe it motivates him the rest of the way, yeah.
Yeah, you just never know.
stayed at home just outside Sacramento during the break to train, but will be allowed after this Winter Cup to return to campus.
On my drop, I had to really work that.
Eavesdrop as we take you to break here with a look at the numbers for Eddie Penev. 14.55 on vault. Some success so far here in Indianapolis. Loos 13.75 parallel bars.
And that is a great score for him. You see that 1.55 in deductions, better than some of the best P-bar workers in the world.
Yeah, and as you said, they've been very critical, the judges there. So he shared the lead after 3 rotations and did no damage here. Alec Yoder, who does a lot of work on pommel horse, named one a U.S. championship, NCAA champion as well. Take you back to that effort a short time ago.
He just has massive difficulty in this routine. 2 really critical skills. Full turns on one arm, done differently. He really thinks he has the best shot of qualifying for the Olympics in somewhat of a specialist role. Pommel horse he is tremendous on. Little bit of a struggle there. Beautiful swing though, great open hips, right up to the handstand, and a great fight on that landing. He can be a little bit cleaner, a little bit, but that was darn good.
Competed for Ohio State, of course, but a native of Indianapolis, right here in his hometown, 14.65. Glad that was done.
You're always glad when you're done on a horse.
Kind of what I say for the balance beam.
All right, so a U.S. champ on pommel horse, 2 a U.S. champ on vault here in 2019. So reigning. Shane Wiskus getting set.
And he'll do that same vault that we have seen so many times. That Kasamatsu, it's 2.5 twists in the air. He can be great here. Super clean and also really good in the air. Oh, and that was scary right there. That was almost a sit down.
Really just didn't get the block off of the table.
Yeah, I've seen him be much better. Basically every time I've seen him with a little bit more power. He's got a great run. I don't know what happens here. He just doesn't get quite as much height as he usually does. That step, if it's more than shoulder width apart, it means it's a 3/10 deduction, and that certainly was. But it's amazing that he did not sit that down.
Had to step up there thinking this is my chance to make a move as well, because he is so good on that. But also, remember, he was in 5th place after 3 rotations. So 1.5 the deduction, 13.7 the total.
Yeah, that's about 7 or 8 tenths lower than he typically gets.
Already thinking about parallel bars. Moving on. Allan Bower in 3rd, heading into this 4th rotation. High bar coming up.
Say again?
Said high bar coming up. Oh, sorry.
And I don't want to jinx Allan, obviously, but as I said with Yul, his former teammate at OU, this is the event that Allan really needs to survive. He's very good on the next 2 floor exercise. He's good and pommel horse. He's fantastic. Here's his major release. Nicely done. Beautiful one-arm skill, named after a great Chinese gymnast, Zhou Min. And that one was pretty far away from a handstand, but he's probably been watching some of the other guys and being a little bit careful. Very nice routine for Allan. He doesn't have the highest start value. His maximum score isn't that high, but this is what he does to you all day long. He doesn't open the door by making a big mistake. He is as dependable.
AB Bower power, baby.
So this is called a Kovacs, double flip over the bar. A lot of gymnasts are doing this nowadays with a full twist. There are even a handful of guys, actually more than that, doing it with a double twist right now.
And here's that dismount. Full twisting, double layout. And you know, we talk about this whole last year, right? And so many of us have obviously learned so much. And when we talked to Allan, he actually said, I just finally understood how much I truly enjoy the sport and how much I love the grind and getting in every day, working out, doing conditioning, and just truly enjoying the sport.
I think in many facets of life for all of us, you learn to appreciate things that maybe you took for granted before.
You know, not a huge number, but that's a success for Allan Bower on high bar.
How about Cameron Bock sharing first place going into this fourth rotation? Another man who probably heard that announcement and went, oh, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. He has been around a long, long time, though, and has had a lot of success, tremendous success on the junior level. National champion in the all-around and on different events throughout the years. Just kind of happening for him today, though.
Go back to something you said on high bar when Bower was there about watching other athletes and then maybe being a little more cautious. Would you do something like that?
I really try not to. You know, sometimes it's obviously hard to, if an athlete comes off of an event, you hear the audience. I guess we don't have that here today, but you just know that you feel the energy, you know that they've stopped, they're getting back on. So it's hard to really avoid knowing what's going on, but I really did not love watching someone, especially if you knew that they were doing a skill that you also do, and maybe perhaps you're a little bit nervous about that skill. You know, it's more so visualizing your own routine and your own skills in your mind as opposed to watching someone else do it.
Trying to stay in your own lane.
Of course, but then of course at the same time you want to be supportive, right? And that's what all of them out here are extremely supportive of one another, whether they're representing the same university. But here, you know, it's Team USA.
But Tim, if you saw other athletes struggling on an apparatus, would that affect your decision making?
No, it wouldn't have mind, but I didn't have to do that particular type of skill. It really wasn't done all that much then, and it's a really finicky element. And you know, you see a whole bunch of guys. I mean, they've not just done it poorly, they've fallen off the bar on it. You know, it just, you know, creeps a little bit of doubt into your brain.
Waiting on a number score for Marvin Kimble, by the way. That's why we have the delay right now.
Yeah, you know, they have to be supportive of each other. There is no crowd to help them get through these routines. They're really each other's only support system, along with their coaches.
Double front in the pike position, very challenging. A little bit hoppy. Can be a little more patient on that. You have to do an element like this that is non-acrobatic. You can choose a few different skills. Talking about all the different nationalities, that's a Japanese handstand. Gotta give props where they're due. Boy, is he having a day. Triple twist, one small step back, but really, really good job for Cameron Bock. Par for the course for today.
The day continues at night.
So very challenging to generate enough power to do this double front with legs straight. Much more difficult than doing it in the tuck position. Very popular pass nowadays.
And here's that dismount. So a triple twist, and Tim, as you mentioned earlier on in the routine, just needs a little bit more patience, really just trying to feel the floor, feel his feet land on the floor without taking that additional hop or step if needed.
Yeah, yeah. Water. You got to see all the taping. You got it done. I got it.
See his reaction to the number there. 13.85 with that deduction for Cameron Bock. And his name goes back up to the top of that leaderboard at the moment, at least. So Yul Moldauer will be next in 7th after 3 rotations.
Yeah, Cameron Bock goes to the top, but this time he's got it all by himself. A 10th over Riley Loos at this point. And this is where Yul can be stunning. His first major international meet, won a bronze medal at the Worlds in 2017. Has great flare work, as you can see. Those are Thomas flares, named after the great American gymnast Kurt Thomas, who unexpectedly passed away late last year. It was tragic news for the gymnastics community. Same dismount that we just saw from Cameron Bock, that triple twist. And very good, certainly, but I would say that he had 5 landing adjustments, and he's capable of doing that routine with only one step somewhere. He's done it many times in the past.
Competes against those high expectations every time out, doesn't he?
He sure does.
Certainly expects to be a part of that team headed to Tokyo for the Olympics. So as we continue, we'll eventually get his number and roll on here at the Winter Cup, downtown Indianapolis. Back to tell you, the NHL is on NBC. The Bruins taking on the Rangers comes your way Sunday at 12 o'clock Eastern on NBC. Beautiful look at downtown Indianapolis. The action packed in terms of the sports scene here over the next couple of months. Yul Moldauer 13.9 for his effort on floor, and they're not exactly the standings that you would expect at this point in the competition. Yul currently in 5th place, so 1.45 points out of first. Goes to Pommel Horse next. They get ready there, but it's Cameron Bock on top, and then Riley Loos ahead of Allan Bower here, heading to rotation number 5 at the Winter Cup next. 5th rotation here. We continue at the Winter Cup. A look at Steven Nedoroscik, the 22-year-old from Worcester, Mass. Been a big year for him, both the ups and downs. Certainly proud of what he did in December. Graduated with a degree in electrical engineering from Penn State, virtually, of course, unfortunately, but looked like he was enjoying it, celebrating it, but was on a path to individually qualify for Tokyo, part of that Apparatus World Cup series, and that has really been taken away, Tim.
Yeah, COVID has been brutal on so many people, but I don't know of anybody that it's been more brutal on in their Olympic quest than Steven. He had won one of the Winter World Cups on pommel horse, was ready to compete in his 2nd one. He said he did the best pommel horse routine of his life the day before and was made to fly home before the event started. So
Actually was woken up in the middle of the night to pack his bags and get on the next plane out.
And he really is that good. This routine is so unique and so challenging, and that was not what he was intending to do. I don't even know what they're gonna do with that skill. He was supposed to stay back in the middle. This is the only event he does now. That's a long wait. And that is a shame right there. Just way too off to be able to stay on.
Repeating that. Yeah.
You know, there's a lot on the line at this competition. And one of the things is making the national team, which provides some funding for the athletes. And, you know, a lot of other opportunities as well. And so this was his one shot. And, oh, and once again, that is not how he wanted to finish right there. He was supposed to come off the other side of the horse. He'll get another deduction for that. He truly is a master on this event, but just wasn't meant to be for today, I guess.
Now, see, it's really hard not to root for this guy.
Oh my goodness, you know, when we talked to him last week, I think he is probably the most positive and optimistic person that I have ever spoken to. You know, the situation that Tim, you just explained, it was just so heartbreaking. And he kept just kind of saying, you know what, it's okay. He kept trying to take the good out of it.
And that is where it started to go wrong for him. He was supposed to remain in the middle of the horse on both of the pommels and was just too off balance, had to transition to the end. And then right here, clips his legs. But it had started happening even before that. He had lost a lot of circle momentum.
That World Cup event in Azerbaijan, he had to come back because the U.S. was shutting down travel. They ended up counting the qualifying, which he had to miss, and that's why he doesn't have a real chance to make it to Tokyo. Riley Loos, 2nd place after 4 rotations.
A whole bunch of athletes from Stanford had qualified for this Winter Cup. He is the only one that made the trip. And as we've said, there are some athletes that this extra year was detrimental, but it absolutely was not for Riley. There's that nice one-arm giant. 2 full spins in that skill. Not the hardest routine, but very well done. And he's got a big event, floor exercise, one of his best events he'll finish off with.
We'll get that number. There's the number for Nedoroscik, who said to one of our camera operators that move on pommel horse where he fell off, they're going to call that the Nedoroscik someday. There's a sense of humor, even the 13.45 as we take you to commercial break.
Win some, you lose some, you break dance, do a backflip. That'll be the Nedoroscik one day.
See, we mentioned that going to break. How do you not just embrace that?
Yeah. He's something else.
Huge disappointment on pommel horse, though. Steven Nedoroscik. Loos 13.35 on high bar. Represent Stanford. So right now, atop the standings, Allan Bower in third going into this fifth rotation, certainly within distance. What's the biggest surprise so far? What do you think?
Well, a lot of different things. Paul Judah just fell off pommel horse, and he is coming in. I really thought he was going to have a breakout competition. But, you know, you never know how somebody is going to react until they're in that biggest moment of their competitive career. And this most likely is for someone like Paul Judah.
Nasty, it might not be a fair question, though, because we started the night saying this is the great unknown, not having competed in almost a year.
Yeah, you know, and I think a lot of them probably didn't even know what to expect. We didn't know what to expect. No one's been out. I guess they're having a few competitions just as of late, but really, it has just been a year of unknowns, right? Just with the training in itself and the physical training, let alone the mental training, and not quite being able to put yourself mentally back out there and, you know, trying to figure out when your next competition is and what's coming next and, you know, where you're going to train. I mean, they've all had so many changes amongst coaches and having to move states and just...
Well, even if you're training, say you were able to get back fairly quickly to training, you never go this long without really competing in your life, your career.
No, absolutely not.
And, you know, I think when we talked to a lot of them, they also kind of said as soon as the Olympics was postponed, pretty much everybody had to take a mental reset, you know, of kind of taking a deep breath and saying, okay, like, give yourself a second to kind of digest what just happened and then maybe start making the next plan. But I truly can't even imagine what that's like when you think you're at your peak and just possibly months away from your dreams coming true.
You're planning, you're working, everything is targeting that date, and then it's taken away, pushed back a year. All right, here we go.
Nice double pike once again. Very difficult tumbling run right here. Double twisting, double somersault, small little hop. Very veteran-like on that. You see him just being so patient with that landing. And once again on that as well. You asked me what was most surprising. I'll tell you what was least surprising is that Allan Bower is once again hitting routine after routine. Perfect landings. This is not easy for Allan. Triple twist at the end. Very nicely done, small little hop. Just like always, Allan Bower. He's been left off of a bunch of world teams. He was second at one national championships and they didn't put him on the team. But he is a tremendous competitor.
All right, man who's having a good night in fourth after 4 rotations, ahead of Yul Moldauer in the standings, the 27-year-old from Long Beach, California, University of Michigan man, now training in Colorado Springs, Adrian De Los Angeles.
And he has long been a tremendous athlete, just has had so many different injuries throughout his career. I don't remember the last time I saw him compete and do all 6 events. A little bit off. Can't take those steps in a handstand. Really difficult. Nicely done. Well, this is a competition for Adrian. Oh my goodness. The last piece of gymnastics for him.
Yeah.
And he stumbles on it.
Fight over there.
Parallel bars champ back in 2019 at this event as we check out the number for Allan Bower, 13.95 on floor.
Very good score.
Right there near the top. Riley Loos leading the way. Cameron Bock, though, the leader heading into rotation number 5.
And he's good here. Very, very good, but pommel horses is a tricky event and can be brutal. His start has a good body shape when he's swinging on the pommel horse. Good extension of his hips, and you see his hips are way above the pommels. Judges are looking for that. Tricky move right here. No problem. Best meet he has had in ages. Cameron Bock. The top 6 in the all-round automatically qualify for the national team.
Trying to remember, have we seen an effort as good as that on pommel horse tonight?
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. You know, Alec Yoder was a little better
true.
because it was, you know, a little bit more difficult, but
Hardest event to last.
The banter
Nice,
continues.
let's go, Tim. Come on. Come on, Tim. Settle. Beauty. Good, baby. Come on. Come on.
Disappointing ending to that routine on parallel bars for De Los Angeles. As we wait for the number for the man leading the way going into this rotation. What do you think?
Wow.
14.3.
that is a great number. We haven't seen too many greens on pommel horse, that's for sure. You see that green arrow.
You can see yourself.
And up by a little more than a point right now over Riley Loos. Allan Bower in 3rd. Yul Moldauer in the top 5 heading into the rotation. Needs a big effort now.
And he can get it, but this is a routine that is almost completely changed for Yul Moldauer. He has added just a ton of flare work that he does really well, but you know, it's really the first time out in a big meet doing all of that kind of stuff. There he goes, he starts very tricky. Those are flare spindles. He's swinging in one direction, turning his body in the opposite direction. Oh boy, got a little bit too far forward on that. Needs some energy at the end here. And a very good job. A little clunky at the end. He was tired, but pretty darn good.
That was frenetic. He motored through that, didn't he?
Yes. You know, whenever you do an element in flare on pommel horse, it is one difficulty point higher, 1/10 higher than if you were doing it with your legs together. And that routine is just jam-packed with that kind of stuff. But it is exhausting physically.
That was a determined routine.
Yes.
So trying to make that leap in 5th. Before that, parallel bars for Shane Wiskus, getting those set right now in 6th place. So just behind Yul Moldauer heading into this 5th rotation. And everybody a little different how they prepare the bars.
Very different. Some people like it to be a little bit damp. You know, most of the athletes are using some type of a sugar and water solution, whether it's honey, Karo syrup, or they make their own brew. Shane's great on this event. Very nicely done. We've seen a lot of struggles on that element here today. Opens his body nicely at the end of that release. Little bit of a struggle right there, but release right here, very clean. He'll also do that Bofsar from one end to the other. Really good exercise for Shane. Double front. Oh, and that is really hard to do. Stick that forward landing like that. Excellent job. He doesn't look happy, and I don't get it.
How about the number for Moldauer? 14.3 on pommel horse, very good. And Yul jumps up into the top 3, so makes a move. They'll go to still rings next. Cameron Bock, who is still on top and extended the lead just a little bit over Riley Loos, and then Moldauer rounding out the top 3. Back looking ahead to the final rotation, Shane Wiskus 14.05, his effort on parallel bars. So Wiskus into the top 5 right now. But overall, it's Cameron Bock still with the lead, a little more than a point over Riley Loos. Yul Moldauer now jumps into 3rd position. Bock and Moldauer on still rings to close it out. Riley Loos will be on floor as we continue with the final rotation next. Final rotation, it comes down to this here at the Winter Cup in Indianapolis. Riley Loos, little more than a point out of the lead held by Cameron Bock, and Loos will be on floor.
So he told us last year, I thought I had no chance for Tokyo. I'm definitely in a better place now. And after this competition so far, you sure are. Very, very powerful athlete on this event. Great start. Little bit of a hop on that layout with 2.5 twists. We call it a Randy in gymnastics. I can name 2 people in this arena that wouldn't have been shocked if they were in the position that both Cameron Bock and Riley Loos are. And those are Cameron Bock and Riley Loos. These guys have overperformed and just had a phenomenal competition. One last tumbling pass. What a day for this young man.
Got to be some feeling right now, too, when you're done, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Wow is right, Riley. That routine absolutely guarantees him a spot on the senior national team.
Decided to become a gymnast after watching the 2008 Olympics. Remember those, right?
Yeah, makes me feel a little old, but thank you, Terry.
Vitaly Guimaraes, the 20-year-old. University of Oklahoma now on pommel horse. Didn't bring it up because of that.
Little bit of a pause on that scissor type element. Pretty good body position throughout. Just this dismount's got to fly up, and that'll be very interesting because I don't know if that's a dismount, and that's what they're talking about right there, I believe. And so he did not complete something that could be categorized as a dismount. And so he's got to go up again and do it. But of course, that's a full point off for the fall, plus the stuff that led to the fall. Vitaly had a great competition today, but pommel horse, it can get the better of you. That was lovely.
He's in 7th going into this final rotation. So see what kind of a hit he takes for the mistake. Loos 14.25 on floor.
Keep the cameras on him, people.
There you go.
Shout out. Stanford.
Doesn't even know who to shout out.
Get used to this, Riley.
Yeah, early on you got to be thinking, okay, that's enough now.
Yeah, I know.
No, you're going to stay right there.
Is that 83.25?
So he waits to see if that number will hold up.
Riley just asked, was that an 83.25? And he's right, it was.
Yep.
In his all-around score.
Number for Guimaraes, disappointing. All right, Allan Bower in 4th going into this final rotation, having just watched that.
And not many guys that are very strong all-around guys can point to pommel horse being their best event, but I would say that unequivocally is so for Allan Bower. Do a lot of single pommel work, starting right here. Was a little bit off, but great fight on that. Fast hands, you gotta really be quick on horse, especially when you get a little bit fatigued. Pick up that circle a little bit, fly up to the handstand. Oh boy, and that is disastrous. Oh my goodness.
That has been the apparatus tonight, where we have seen runs end.
But that does not happen to Allan Bower.
20 seconds.
He's said at different points during the pandemic that people are doing more than I am. I got to get back out there. I gotta do more. There you go. Very nicely done, but just like we saw, a full point for the fall.
Tim, you're talking about difficulty in terms of doing more, that people, correct? In terms of what he said. Not that people out there training and he wasn't.
Getting back out there.
Right, exactly.
Adrian De Los Angeles in 6th after the 5th rotation. So in a very good spot here.
In a spot he hasn't found himself in a very long time, to be honest. Was always extremely capable, has so many wonderful gymnastics qualities. Release right here. Nicely done. Another one. And another one to turn around. Oh, that was not what he was supposed to do. He repeated the same skill twice, which you can do, but you get nothing for it. And you can incur deductions on it. I think he was probably supposed to do that release with an extra half turn. Good fight at the end, though.
Bower's number on pommel horse 12.65.
Let's go, Isaiah. Come on. Oh, man.
Oh, that is.
There you go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go. Keep swinging. Yeah. Come on. Come on.
So he is 4th after the 5th rotation, 5 points out of 1st. And here is the man taking the lead into the final rotation on still rings, Cameron Bock.
You know, you have to wonder in a competition like this where there is no audience, and sometimes that adrenaline rush is kind of what helps you get through the end of that routine, perhaps like we've been seeing on the pommel horse or at the end of a floor routine, where you could really just use that extra burst of energy, sometimes from the crowd cheering so loud, and we don't have that here, right? So a lot of new things that everybody, of course, is getting used to at this competition.
Well, that crowd noise also helps you hold those strength parts.
Right, extra strength, extra power, extra endurance, you know, all of the above.
So we go Cameron Bock and then Yul Moldauer back-to-back on rings. And Bock needs, check the number here, 13.25 to have that lead after this.
And that's very possible. A whole bunch of guys have gotten that number and far more.
See Moldauer waiting in the background too. They wait for a mark from the judges. That hasn't changed.
No. I asked Yul, you see that insignia on his chest right there? I said, what's that symbol? He goes, that's me.
YM.
YM,
Yeah.
Yul Moldauer.
Don't have your own?
No.
No.
He said he's making the big bucks for it.
Yeah, it's time to sit down and relax at the moment. It's a long wait.
I always find it interesting how so many different athletes like to prepare for each event differently, right? So some sitting down right before such an important routine, while others might be doing a little run around the arena or warming their shoulders up or whatever event that they're on.
This would be the biggest thing he has ever done in his gymnastics career. If he can hold on to this lead. And that was spectacular. Not typically known as one of the strongest guys, but pretty good there as well. Each one of these strength parts needs to be held for a full 2 seconds. Beautiful swing element. Well, this is just like he's been all day long. Great routine, double twisting, double somersault. Cameron Bock, wow.
He's been something else here in Indianapolis tonight. Yul Moldauer, low 5.
Come on, smile, man.
22-year-old from Newport Beach, California. Calls Tustin his hometown. Star at the University of Michigan. Adrian De Los Angeles. 12.65 on high bar. So in the top 5 as we wait on Yul Moldauer to go, and now Shane Wiskus, who was in the top 5 after the 5th rotation. And eventually get that number, which should be good enough for Cameron Bock.
I was very surprised with Shane, though. You know, he's a very comfortable competitor. Has had a couple of hiccups today. Got back on track on parallel bars with a fabulous routine. And I don't know if you guys remember the last time we saw him compete at a Nationals, he did a major release and only held on with one arm. It was pretty wild stuff. That release is right here. Oh my gosh. And he does the exact same thing. That's not planned. Has a hard time finishing that last half turn on these skills. That first one's called a Cassina, named after the great Italian Olympic champion on this event. That was aggressive, going right for that handstand. Another one, very aggressive. It was a remarkable stave to stay on the bar, but it's not what he wanted to do, that's for sure. Double twisting, double somersault, laid out position. Super hard routine.
And disappointing routine in the end. So we wait for that number. Cameron Bock, there it is, 14.1, and that is certainly enough to go back up top and lead. Remember, not done yet. Moldauer still to come, but that is a solid lead for Cameron Bock, and what a night.
Yeah, I hate to call it before it's over, but there's your champion right there. Yul can be great on rings, but he can't be that great. Highest score today has been a 14.85 on rings. Boy, what a day. One of his weaker events, Cameron Bock, he has the second highest score of the competition on one of his weaker events. So remember, looking for strength parts that are held for 2 full seconds. That one was excellent.
Just to throw this out here, he would need 15.6 to lead.
Which is really difficult to do. Does that well. Back roll right into an iron cross. Perfectly flat position. Much improved, that skill right there. In the past, he would land a little bit above the cross and incur some deductions for it. Oh boy, a little bit of a struggle there. He's capable of doing a new dismount, keeping his legs straight. Nope, just the tuck, double, double, small little hop.
Nastia, we started the night talking about different agendas and what this tonight means to different athletes. For a gymnast like Yul Moldauer, you're taking stock of where you are right now. But for Cameron Bock, this would be a huge win.
Oh, absolutely. His stock just went way up. For Yul, of course, definitely not the performance that he was hoping to have here, because when we did talk to him just last week, he said how great he felt, how confident he was feeling, his training was going well. So, of course, he's going to go back to the gym and probably re-evaluate a few things and work harder than he has before. But
listen, everybody wants to win. I mean, that's why you're out here competing. For Moldauer, he's finding out, he's going to learn things tonight about each event, each apparatus, and go work on that. But in terms of his career, Cameron Bock just takes a huge step tonight.
You know, we talked about, for so many of these athletes, the extra year was a lot of help. Well, there you go. This is a prime example right here.
Timmy's got to put himself in the conversation.
Oh, he absolutely does. And the thing that's remarkable on top of that is the state of Michigan has been very locked down, as has the University of Michigan.
A lot of guys that watch you
They had a
on the home, you know. Yeah,
2-week pause a little while back for all athletics.
So remember what he needed to win, and even 14 for Yul Moldauer. He comes in third. It's Cameron Bock who gets the win. Yep, there's the congratulations. So the 22-year-old star at the University of Michigan wins it. He had the lead, shared the lead, then he had the lead. Could he hold on? He does here to be the 2021 Winter Cup champion. Back with a look at the final standings here in the Winter Cup. It's Cameron Bock, the 22-year-old, who wins it. Riley Loos in second, and Yul Moldauer rounding out the top three. And Cameron Bock joins us right now. Cameron, sensational effort. That was terrific. Congratulations on the win. What does this mean to you and do for you now?
You know, it means a lot. You know, I think I view this competition as the first step in the Olympic process. You know, it's not the direct qualification process, but you know, I view it as a good stepping stone to getting on that team. So I'm pretty proud of myself today.
Well, you should be proud, Cameron. I know you've always known you could be at this level, but honestly, did you think you could be on top at the end of this competition tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I kept looking at the standings, and you know, I knew I was on top from maybe event 3 or 4, but I just had to keep telling myself that, you know, to take it one set at a time and just kind of humble myself to keep it going.
So a year like this, obviously, it's been so many mixed emotions and reactions of what people have kind of gotten out of this year. And watching you out here tonight, it kind of seems that you've gotten quite a bit out of it and just have really shined out there. What has it really meant for you this last year?
I mean, it's great to get out here and, you know, hit some sets and be around a bunch of great competitors. You know, it's been tough, you know, with all the quarantines and, you know, the initial lockdown. And, you know, I mean, we were training, we were doing ring strength, you know, in my basement for a couple months. So to come from that to, you know, hitting six routines today, it's an awesome feeling.
It's going to become a popular training center now, your basement, with the success of this competition. Listen, congratulations once again, and that was fun to watch tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job.
Cameron Bock, and we'll take a look at some of the highlights here, guys, because, boy, it was really good from the start.
Great ball, just a small little hop, but, you know, this wasn't just his best gymnastics effort. This was his best gymnastics effort by far.
And, you know, to come into this year, into this competition with everything else going on in the world and deliver like he did today with this new Olympic year, you'd have to think that he just put his name pretty far up that list.
Well, he certainly is in the conversation. Absolutely. Couldn't have gone any better. Finishing off on the still rings. What a day. Cameron Bock Always knew he could be up there, but just really hasn't had that big senior meet. Tonight, absolutely, great job.
And right there with one of the top names in American gymnastics. So Cameron Bock, the winner, and not Riley Loos as well, who comes in second ahead of Yul Moldauer, then Shane Wiskus and Allan Bower, the top 5 from Indianapolis tonight. As we step away, we remind you we're back tomorrow. The Winter Cup women's competition begins as Olympic champ Laurie Hernandez returns to action after more than 4 years away. Coverage starts at 12:30 Eastern on NBC. For Nastia Lukin, Tim Daggett, and our entire NBC Sports crew, I'm Terry Gannon saying so long from Indianapolis and the 2021 Winter Cup. See you tomorrow.